Hello and welcome to Signature Door located in Altoona, Pennsylvania. I'll be your tour guide today. My name is Denny Nixon and I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing with Signature Door. What you'll see fabricated today are custom wood entry doors, and this sample has a recessed molding with a raised panel. We also do flush panels. This is a raised molding with a raised panel, and we can really do any type of fenestration that you're looking for when it comes to a custom wood door. We even have the capability of fabricating electronic glass that you can turn on and turn off for privacy. One of the benefits of that is you don't have to put any kind of blinds or any kind of sheer or anything like that mounted on the interior of the door. You just simply turn the glass on, turn the glass off. Another product we call our Shore Door is focused on really the high moisture areas as well as the high damage areas, like your shore areas where the beauty of the wood is often wanted. You would put that on the inside, and on the exterior side we put a product that you can even paint black, and it is impervious to water. In fact, in this mason jar, this has been sitting in here since August the 20th of 2020. So it is a very good exterior weather product when you are looking for something that would be more exposed, say somewhere along the beach. And then we have some samples of some of the different finishes that we can do as well. So we are a full custom mill shop. You can see behind me some of the posters. We've done some very large units. This is one out of Louisville, Kentucky. And here's one that's located in Sarasota, Florida. But we are a full custom mill shop that really focuses on exterior doors and being able to give you not only the sizes you want, or maybe pivot doors, even bifolding. The one behind me here is a room divider. If you would want to expand into another room, or if you would want to expand to a deck or a porch area. So please come along and we'll see how we fabricate this. So the first step in our process is going to be taking the S2S, which is surfaced on two sides. So our product is surfaced, we bring it in surfaced on the top and the bottom. It will be at random lengths and at random widths. We have quite a variety on hand, from your oak, your cherry, maple, walnut, sapele. Pretty much as long as it is not on the endangered species list and it is readily available, we can fabricate using that product. From the S2S material, which you see in bulks here to my left, we will take the different thicknesses that we bring in, and we will then walk through and show you how we fabricate the core, astracals. We have even a arched molding here, where one of the things that we do differently is that you'll see a seam here, and if I flip it over, there's a seam here and here. So if I put my thumb in the center where that seam is and I flip it over, there's no seam here. You can see where we split that, and one of the reasons we do that is this is a very tight joint that won't open up on you in the future. So the joint that you see is going to be architecturally correct where it should be placed, but in behind where you don't see, you'll have the reinforcements, as you should have. The SDL bar that we fabricate, we can do plinth blocks or rosettes. Here's a large piece of interior or exterior casing, and we can do those to any shape you're looking for. Here's another example of a piece with quite a few different steps in it. course, your jamb material for hanging your door. And if you want, we can fabricate different depths of sills, different thickness of sills. If you're doing something like hardwood coming behind here, we can even step that out if you wanted to slide it underneath of there for a smoother transition. Really, it's wood, and anything that you can put the wood into a shape to, we're able to fabricate that for your specific need. So we're going to take this S2S material and we will bring it to this gang rip machine. And we're pointing down with some lasers so that we can see exactly where we can get the best yield. So the piece will go through in a larger size, and we're first going to inspect it. We're going to take a look and see if there's any wind shake in it. We're going to take and see if we want to use maybe this piece for a molding piece, maybe for core piece. If it's got a really nice face to it, then we're going to resaw that so that we can make the faces for the stiles and rails or panels or whatever we might be fabricating with. But it'll start out as a piece like this, come through this piece of equipment, and then out the other side comes the sizes that it's been preset to. So this is called a gang rip, and it'll cut multiple pieces at one time. From there, we'll take the pieces and we'll bring them over to our glue up. And here at our glue up machine, we will take, for instance, this is red oak core. So we've resawn to take all the stresses out, and then we're going to glue them together. We're going to then plane them smooth, and then we'll put the faces on to give you this core. Another core we do is LVL, and one of the things they do at this station is they're going to put the good edge on it. This will be totally hidden, but this gives you the strength of the laminated veneer lumber. That gives you this core. And that's what he's doing currently, is gluing up the strips so that we can put them in the clamp. Clamp them to the proper time where the moisture content drops to a usable piece. Right now he's introducing moisture to that piece with the glues. This particular clamp table allows us to do multiple clamps at one time and be able to stay in the same working area without laying a bunch of pieces and parts all over the shop. From there, this part will then be brought over to our gluing and clamping table. That's a separate clamping table where we will make up. We have the core with the good edges on it. It has been sanded and ready then for the piece of phenolic paper that will go between the core and the face. So this will then be glued, glue put down, this will be put down, glued again, this will be put down, and then put in our clamp so that everything is straight, true, and gives you a beautiful product. We have a smaller clamp here, and then we also have a much larger clamp over here. And the shore door that I had talked about you in the opening, that's what we're doing here. We've actually got the exterior piece on top of the wood door that we built below it. So this will be ready to be clamped up here. So once we have fabricated the core, then we're going to bring it over to our CNC, and we're going to put any of the dowel pins as well as any of the shapes so that we're making the different parts that'll nest together and create a very good joint. So this will be put on the pod, sucked down, and run so that it is true. Nice part about this is we're squaring up even our parts before we do any gluing. We're going to then take these parts over to a table where we will glue everything up. But even using square parts, you can be not 100% square at the end of gluing. So later on we'll even show you the machine where we put the entire door on to be able to square that up and make sure that it's the correct size it needs to be for that opening. So what we're doing now with the CNC is we're taking and making the dowel holes for the stiles and rails. And you'll notice we're taking a smaller bit and then oscillating it to make the hole we're looking for. What that does is that gives us a true 5/8 hole versus actually trying to take a 5/8 bit and make a 5/8 hole. A lot of times it can chatter in there and gives you an oblong hole. So what we're looking for is the accuracy. So if you follow me, we'll head over to a clamp table where we have a door unit laying here. So everything we do has a drawing to it because everything we do is a one of a kind. So that's what this is going to eventually become. This is a white oak piece. You can see we have everything labeled, bottom, sides, which areas go into which areas. Your dowel pins that get put together with the glue. Then these will be assembled, drawn up, and that's because we do everything on the CNC routers. That's already pretty smooth without even putting that through the sander. So that's the accuracy we get with those machines. On my left is a unit that is glued up, and they're putting the finishing touches on pulling everything together. So what you see here is the door unit that goes within this entire side light and surround side. And we do quite large pieces. This is roughly 95 inches wide by 102 inches tall by the time this is all said and done. And again, you see, we'll do final sanding on this, but you see how there's not much of a step at all because everything is true. Some of these pieces here, you can do them by hand, but you get much, much better accuracy with the CNC routers, and everything can nest together. Everything's at proper angles. Makes for a much better product in the end. The truth of the matter is, you can have the greatest equipment in the world, but one of our greatest assets here is definitely our people. This is a flat table CNC, and the part that they're running here, you see the head come out. So this piece that they're running now is an arch piece. It'll do a couple different passes so that you get a real smooth product in the end. The tool will go out and change out to whatever bit, drill bit, router bit, anything we may need to fabricate any particular profile or shape. This machine is very versatile for us, and we have a few samples here of some different things that we have produced on this machine. This would be our shore door where we route the panels and everything into it. We can also do the V-grooves if you're looking for a paint grade louvered look. Here's one where we've carved into a solid wood panel. Again, some of your different profiles, how that's undercut. Carvings and appliques, different beaded hardwood panels, and even this would be a blank where we're going to fabricate that into a wood sill with the sill horns that come out so that your casing can sit down on there cleanly. Again, something like our moldings that'll go around either a panel or glass. Architecturally, they're split where they should be at the top and the bottoms and sides. But if I flip this over, there's a joint here, there, and there, so that this piece will not open up, and it's also very rigid. If I take that and even twist that, I can't get that to open up. It takes more time to do it, it's more attention to detail, but in the end, it's a much better product. We're not looking for fast. We're looking for well built. So this is the final piece that will be used as a door component. And you'll notice the laser that's shining down. So they can take the part, when they put the part down, I'll use the back side as an example. They can see exactly where to put that part before they run it. So that in the end, what you get is the shape that you desired. So you've seen some of the other parts being fabricated, and we saw the cores being made and bringing basically a skeleton together. One of the components that we manufacture here, and we're unique because we're not just a mill shop, but we are also a glass fabricator. So what we have here is a octagon shape that she'll finally assemble. Put the different parts in there. We cut all these parts here. We do bring the bevel clusters in, but she can take and pretty much fabricate any manageable size that we can fabricate. So the processes are going to be cutting the glass, bending the metal, and we have choices of brass, zinc, and we can also take the zinc and we can dip it in an acid that will patina it. So this will give you more of the old world look, such as your old world decorative glass. Originally, even the lead work that would have been done would have been silver to start, but then it oxidizes over time and becomes the black. So if you see any historical or church buildings or anything like that where you have the black lead work, it originally looked lead and looked what we use today as zinc, so we're not using the lead. But you can do example how we would solder that together. And so because this is brass, you're going to have the solder that contrasts with it and is silver. And we have a method for actually making that all gold or brass looking when it's done. So when she's done soldering, this is the final piece that has been soldered on both sides. And then we take and paint the joints, and we will put that between tempered glass so that that is a safety piece. So what you have again is a piece being fabricated. This is in the process, and then this is the final piece that will be ready to be put in an opening. Further down on the table, she's actually completed a larger piece, and you can see some of the bevels that she's used and the different styles of glass, different patterns. This is actually a patterned glass and a hammered look. And so she's assembling everything over top of a pattern that we've given her. This piece has been soldered and ready to go. Again, this is for a side light. But if I lift this up, you can see the pattern that she's following. So this is a side light piece, and this will need to be cleaned. And if it's going to be left zinc, it'll be left the silver color. But she can also take and acid wash it and turn it into the black color that we had shown you before. Another process of glass that we fabricate is hurricane glass or impact glass, and that's done in this room over here. So what we do is we take 2 pieces of thicker annealed glass, and annealed glass is your basic window glass. If it were to be hit with a baseball, it would break into larger shards, whereas tempered glass breaks into smaller pieces. So what we're doing here is we're injecting a liquid resin, and this is really the same concept as the windshield of your car. So when you drive down the road, you're looking between 2 pieces of glass and a piece of resin between the 2 pieces of glass. So it is clear, and the benefits of this glass would be that because the resin is holding the pieces together, if this does get broken, it still stays intact and remains in the opening. So this is critical for hurricane rated areas, and this glass is rated for a 7-pound 2x4 at 50 feet per second or 34 miles an hour. Once the proper amount of resin has been poured in there, the glass is then wiped off quickly, and then that will be allowed to lay flat so that it all floats out to the proper depth. Again, this is a piece where you have 2 pieces. We have a tape thickness there that gives us the proper thickness for the resins. And this piece, if I were to break it, is breakable, but getting through it is another story. Again, that's why we do that in the auto industry for windshields of cars. It's a security feature. So we showed you making up the glass components, and if your door is getting glass and panels, or if it's just getting straight panels, this would be how we would do the panels. This is a dead core, which does not move. We have routed the shape into it that we're going to do. This is a single hip panel. We cut our veneer, which has a membrane on the back of it. This will be glued, laid in place, and even though this is a flat sheet, we're going to take this setup over to this press and put the panels face down onto this membrane. Now this membrane has a hot oil. The glue is heat activated. We'll put these face down, and when we close this machine, it'll press up against the top plate, and your end result is a panel that has all the corners, everything folded, set, ready to go. This is now one component. The benefits of doing the component this way is because wood will grow 1% of size for every 4% of moisture change. It grows 1 time in the direction of the grain, but it grows 8 times against the grain. So while we can do solid panels, the larger the panel gets, the more movement you're going to see. So we really discourage on your larger doors with larger panels using an actual solid wood. but we can do the solid wood. This is a peak panel, and this one, of course, is an L-shaped. But to go back to the math, if this panel, say we're doing a 4-foot wide door, and we do them every day here, you would have 6-inch on either side, and then you would have a 3-foot panel. If the panel was 1 foot tall, 3 feet wide, and the grain was running in this direction, the way we have it laid out here, so it's gone up and down, that panel, if it took on enough moisture to grow a 32nd of an inch in height, would grow 1/32 times 3, because you're 3 times the width, times 8. So a 32nd inch growth in height is 3/4 of an inch growth in width. So we know that's going to happen. Again, going with the dead core and putting your veneers on top, you do not get the movement. And we've been fabricating this way since 1989 and have not gotten one call because the panel shrunk, and you would see unstained lines on either side where the molding wouldn't be covering. We can even do this panel V-grooved. So what we'll do is take this base and we'll clear the areas away where we can put the solid material. We'll glue the face on, put this back on the CNC router, and run the V-grooves so that anywhere you stain this, it is solid, it is wood, not solid wood because we have the core, but it looks and gives you the look of the solid wood. It gives you the performance of the dead core. So one of the next components that we're going to fabricate is our jamb material. So you have the spot with the dado where your door or your side light or your transom would sit, and then you have your thicker material. This is great for running straights, but when we need to shape anything, we run the material thinner, glue it up between each one, and then bend it and let it dry down to the moisture content needed. This particular top is going to be an arch for a transom. So we have the door below it, and the transom going over top. But to try to bend that at such a drastic rate, even steam bending won't do. So what we do is cut individual small pieces. These happen to be 1/16 of an inch. Sometimes if it's not so radical, then we can go thinner, such as 1/8 of an inch. But these are very thin pieces that are then glued up. Once it dries down to the proper moisture content, we'll resaw it. Here's a close-up of some of the thicker material, because this bend isn't as drastic, but it's solid material when it's done drying, and you'll be able to stain that and it'll look absolutely beautiful. This piece that we have on the table is going to become that unit. So it's a double door with side lights, and it's quite a large unit. That's what we have laying out here. So we're able to bend the parts that need to be bent, and then attach them in such a way that they're strong. But that's going to be your side lights for that particular unit. And even your stop material. So after we put the side light in here, we're going to stop it in. Your stop material is bent up so that it can be put in without a lot of tension being put on it. So we're not trying to force a straight piece. We're literally taking, you can see there's 4 or 5 different pieces in there. So this piece is already shaped to start with. We're not trying to fight it when we're putting it in there. So that'll stop in, be a clean look. Everything again is done on templates. So even here on the paper, this is a 2-sized template. And we know exactly where the back side of the jamb is going to hit. We know where the stops are going to start and where the stop's going to end. Everything is built 2 size. One of the nice things is, because we're doing everything on templates is that the glass can be fabricated in one side of the shop, jambs can be fabricated in another side of the shop, the doors can be pulled together in another part of the shop, and everything can be done together simultaneously. So that allows us to keep lead times as short as we can. So our next step in the process, after you saw the skeleton of the door being made, the panels being made, we have stops, we also saw glass being made. What we're doing right now is we are glazing the glass. So you'll see her run a bead of the silicone and then put the stops in and shoot those stops into place. So this won't get just the black bars that you see. If this unit's going to be finished, it'll be finished before we put the SDL bars on. If it's going to be unfinished, then the next station it'll move to is to have the SDL bars applied both to the interior and the exterior. The bar that you see in the center we'll actually get a bar that'll line up over top of it so that when you look at an angle, it looks like a true divided light, but you're getting the benefit of the full piece of glass. It gives you a better performing unit because you have more flexibility with the heat and cold versus individual units. Try to clean that up so that we don't have a lot of the squeeze out where we don't want it. You don't want to get that silicone on the surface of the wood because it can create a problem when you're trying to either paint or stain and clear coat later. This door in particular is set up for a knob and deadbolt. And then over here on my left, your right, this door is actually finished both sides. It gets white on the one side, it has a green color on the other. That was both chosen by the customer. And then this will get a mortise pocket, so this gets a mortise lock. I'll grab one from over here. This kind of gives you an idea of what this would be. So this would be the gut that would go into here, and then this is a full mortise lock. Over here is a unit where we have the multi-point lock. So this puts the piece of steel on the edge, and when you operate it, the fingers come out. Makes for a really secure unit. So this is a 3-point. We also have this available in a 5-point and can do up to 7-point. And that gives you some of your different lock options. So this would be a double cylinder, just a regular knob and deadbolt. Then you can step up to a mortise, or you can step up to a full mortise multi-point. So you lock it, unlock, and throw it. Behind, just want to show an example of a wrought iron grill. So this is a piece of steel, plasma cut, powder coated, and then this will go over top, most commonly clear glass, or it might be glass that has CD or some kind of pattern behind it. But they can be made into all kinds of different patterns. You can even draw your own out and we can fabricate it. So we'll turn back to where she's shooting the stops in. And then if this door is going to be finished, then you can follow me back to the finish department where I can show you where we prep and get ready to either paint or stain. So before a unit goes back to the finishing department, what we want to do is clean out any of the excess silicone. We also like to clean it up even before it leaves here. If a unit is going to be sent out raw, it makes it look cleaner, and then we know that it's also set and ready to go. So in our finish department, we do the final sanding on the product, and we're also going to fill any nail holes, and we're going to tape off any glass or any areas that we don't want to get sprayed, and that's what's happening here. We do everything under the lights so that we can see for any kind of possible blemishes or something like that we would want to address, because this is the beautification part of our product. We're taking it and we're staining a clear coat. We're going to bring out the beauties of the wood, and the clear coat not only protects it, but it also magnifies the grain, makes it look really sharp. I want to point out too, while we're here, that you'll notice that there's a brown color that's a different color on, it'll be the top and the bottoms of the units. And why we do that is we're sealing all the sides even before we stain or paint. If this unit would have been going to the homeowner, customer, without any stain or paint on it so that they could do it themselves or in the field, maybe to match some colors or match with some stairs or match with the flooring or anything like that, we still want to seal the top and the bottom of every unit because quite often it's missed in the field. So we try to take precautions to do anything that we can do here at the factory without interfering with anything that might have to happen on the job site. So from this stage, once it's all prepped, then it's moved into our spray booth. We're going to keep the doors closed. You can shoot through the glass here, so you can show that process being done. Again, everything's done under lights so that we can see, make sure we have the right coating on there as far as the mills, and give us a really good furniture quality in the end. That's what we're looking for. Once the units are sprayed, then we're going to bring them out and we're going to allow them to dry down. And one of the things that we do is as we bring them out and then as they start to dry down, we're going to want to take and we're going to want to flip them and rotate them. And the reasons we do that is because when you're laying them flat and spraying them, gravity is going to want to pull that material to the lower areas. So anywhere there's a high point, that material is going to run down into a low area and get thicker in the concaves and run off of the convexes. So we eliminate that process from happening by being able to rotate them, and that allows you to get your mills where you really want to have them. Anytime you're doing a spray or even a paint with a paintbrush, your higher areas tend to get the least amount of mills, because if I'm spraying, you have gravity taking effect. If I'm using a paintbrush, then the bristles tend to spread, and you'll find that you'll get more of the material in the concaves versus the convexes. One of the questions we get asked all the time is about maintaining a wood door. And one of the things that you want to keep an eye on is look at any of your high areas, because that's where the millimeters tend to be the least. And you're going to start to see the failures happen on high points and edges. So what you'll see is the product will actually go a little bit white. And what's happening is at the molecular level, the product is starting to release from the material. So when you start to see that happen, just give it a scuff coat. And what you're doing is you're putting another coat of really sunscreen. So if you think about going to the beach and you put sunscreen on, if you're sitting, say, under an umbrella, then you're under the same thing as far as this door is concerned, would be an overhang. If you're fully exposed, you will need to reapply the product to maintain that sunscreen in shorter intervals. But we can do staining, we can do painting as well. Down here we have a couple units that are primed. So these will be primed and these will be ready to go to get the final paint application in the field. It's not uncommon for us to send prime units out, especially if they're going to be matching any millwork or something like that in the house where this might be going. The nice thing about it having it finished by us, though, is that it's going to be sealed on all sides, including even in and where the hardwares go. And that's particularly important because if you put real big escutcheon plates or anything like that on there and it's unfinished underneath of it, that can be an area where moisture can get in and cause cracks to develop in the wood. So we like to have everything on every surface coated, and one of the last things we're going to do then is put the hardware in. So now that we're done finishing the units, we'll bring them down to our pre-hang department. And down here is where the final assembly happens to create your entryway. So the green door that we took a look at earlier is going to be going into this unit. This is a pretty nice unit where the green is on the exterior, the white is on the interior, and this one's also getting a solid wood sill. So this is a sill that is pretty sharp. On the inside, if you actually come around me, above the bottom hinge, we put a coin, and this coin not only says signature door, made in Altoona, Pennsylvania, but the coin itself has an individual serial number in it. So every unit that we make gets a coin with an individual serial number, so that if there would be anything that would be needed to be addressed later on, we've even had an issue where a homeowner was building a new home, was getting ready to close on the home, and there was some damage that was done to some arched doors. And with it being a brick opening, the brick was put on after the doors were put in. Well, the neat thing is we were able to get that coin number and remanufacture one of the damaged doors to within 100,000ths of an inch of the original, simply by using that coin number. So that'll be located in the jamb above the bottom hinge, so you don't see it when the door's closed, but the information's there when you need it. Once they're done doing all the finishing touches on this unit will then be brought over to our skidding area behind me, where we put them on their individual skids. They're final inspected, and then we will put them on our shrink wrap machine so that we can shrink wrap them, send them to the customer. This particular unit is a transom unit, 3-piece transom unit that's going to be going out. It's going to be going with another skid. We have any parts and pieces that they may need, including any sill extensions, any casings. And I want you to take a look on the back side of this. You'll see that there's a piece of casing that is arched, that once they get these 3 pieces installed into the structure, then that one piece head will be able to be very easily lined up, shot into place for a nice finished look. So you have not only the exterior but also the interior trim, which is pretty important because it's an arched piece. So we know when we make up that arch what we're making the jamb to. We know what we're making the any brick molds, what the setbacks might be, and then of course any of your interior trim. So everything was made here. We know everything works and is aligned, and we send it mounted to that piece, and it's even mounted to the drawing that was approved so that we know it's the correct shape. So again, before we go, everything we do here is a one-of-a-kind for a specific home, for a specific customer. And I just want to show you some of the things that we have being shipped out today. Here's a unit with some CD glass in it. It has the SDL bars on it. It's a raised panel with a raised molding. This one has the multi-point lock ready to go into it. We come down here. You have a square top unit pre-hung, ready to go. Just needs to be finished. Have the lock hardware put into it. This next one's a round top door with a deeper jamb than normal. That's thicker than 6 9/16 jamb. But it's a nice white door. And if you tuck underneath of here, it's just a very clean white door with black hardware. And again, the way we do our moldings, your brick molds even coming around in one piece. Very clean. The next door, this one's unfinished as well, but if you take a look at the gingerbread underneath of this door shelf, that's a pretty neat look. This next door is finished. These are actually the side lights. So we have a louvered look going on, and behind is the double door system. So this is a double door with 2 side lights. And these could be going anywhere. We primarily serviced from the Mississippi River east, but entirely up and down the East Coast. But we do ship anywhere, including some exports like to the Bahamas or the Caribbean. Here's an arched double door unit. Again, a lot of the hardwares, mold covers, casing, all the parts and pieces you need are being sent so that it can be fully applied in the field. And then to give you a little better of idea of our shore door product, this is the painted shore door with the wood interior. So this gives you the beauty of the wood for the inside of your home. You can paint this black. It can be fully exposed on the outside, and we're not going to have to worry about any bowing, twisting, or warping. So this is our shore door product. You can find information about this at signaturedoor.com. That's signaturedoor.com, one door, not plural. You can find us on our social media pages as well, or call us at 800-741-2265. Really hope you've enjoyed seeing what we produce here. It's a lot of fun to enjoy what you do, and for us, as much as we have some beautiful equipment and can do an awful lot of things, we really recognize that our real value here is our people. So we appreciate everybody has a hand in producing these great products that go all over